fade. What's the mantra? Fear the fade. And if you get a tattoo in Louis Bazaar later today, which I know some of you are eager to do, you can get that one, fear the fade. So the next point, and in Govardhan, where we're doing a reading session every day, we just finished the first volume of the Adi Lila. And Srila Prabhupada emphasizes in the last couple of chapters of that book the importance of the Panchatattva mantra. He says there's no access to Radha and Krishna at all without the Panchatattva. And he says again and again, not just in that section, but in many places in his purports. In fact, some of them are so repetitious that when you finish the purport, you've almost chanted 16 rounds, including the Panchatattva Mahamantra. And so we cannot overemphasize how it is to take shelter of the Panchatattva in order to chant Hare Krishna. So we always start kirtan, or we always start our japa by saying Jaya Shri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Hara Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Brisa. So let's chant for a while and keep in mind the forced meditation, and also be aware that you're chanting. And if you notice your mind's not aware that you're chanting, just bring it back to that chanting. We'll see you in a minute. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Do you have mics to pass me? Okay. Hare Krishna. First of all, congratulations to everyone for taking part in this historic event, because after so many lifetimes we've been able to come here together to Vrindavan and chant the holy names under the protection of the Guru Parampara. And second is, I have a question that, did you notice your mind not being attentive? In other words, was there in a time when you were chanting just now when you didn't know that you were chanting? Like when you read a book and you finished a paragraph and you're not sure what you just read. Have you ever had that happen? Did you have an experience like that even for a few moments when you noticed that you were not aware of the holy name? And can anybody analyze why your mind went somewhere else? We have a microphone, who just take a few realizations. Just trying to, if you can understand, or if we can understand how it is the mind went somewhere else. Why did it go somewhere else? Use the mic.
Curious, Maharaj.
Curious about what?
About what is coming next in the day.
What's coming next where?
In the day, the program in the day.
Oh, you're thinking, I think very specifically thinking about what's going to happen later. Anybody else? Why did your mind go away from chanting?
Hare Krishna. I noticed that when I'm chanting alone at home, my mind wanders very quickly. But here I could hear Keshav Prabhu and Mahinda Prabhu's chanting, so I was able to bring my mind back and try and chant again.
It's a good place to restart one's chanting if you felt Japa fade at all. I have a friend, a godbrother, who joined Hare Krishna movement in 1970. In the mid-80s, he sort of drifted away a little bit. He became more involved in meditation, stopped chanting. And then somebody forced him to come to Vrindavan. In fact, it was somebody who came here who was winning an award, so he said, you have to come and observe it. So he said he came here and then he couldn't meditate. It wouldn't work. So he started chanting and said, okay, that works. And then he revived his chanting process. So this is a good place to revive the determination to chant great japa. Anybody else have any reflection about where the mind went or why it went away from the chanting?
Hare Krishna. Mine was slightly opposite because I'm not used to chanting in a group, so I was very distracted by the chanting around me. And the more I got distracted, I kept on saying, no, you need to focus on your chanting. And I thought I was listening to my chanting more because I was trying to focus on it more. So it eventually kind of blocked off the surrounding.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's important to actually see what's going on, to notice, because it's possible to chant 16 rounds and window shop. I'm looking elsewhere, I'm looking at the future, I'm thinking about many duties that I have to do or something that I wanted on Amazon Prime, and as soon as I chanted, well, maybe I'll just stop right now and order it. It's important to notice where is the mind going and to bring it back to the chanting. One more? Yes, Subhadra.
For me, it felt like when you're driving and you start falling asleep, you're like, you don't realize it until you're doing it. And then I kind of felt like a FOMO, fear of missing out, because, you were saying that Krishna is present in His holy name. So when I realized like I was falling asleep, then I felt like, oh no, I'm missing out on being present with Krishna.
Okay, that's a really good point. So one of the ways that the mind goes away is because it thinks there's something better somewhere else. And there's this idea that, hey, this holy name is a little monotonous, it's boring, so I'll go look at other things that I have stored up, various samskars that I have saved in my mind. So Hare. Hare. Haridas Thakur says it's important every day to remember the potency of the holy name. Revive one's remembrance, or just remember by hearing about how potent the holy name is, because if you can offer that to your mind and say, you don't have to go anywhere else. Nam bina kichu nahi ko ora choda bhuvana maje. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, there's nothing else to be had anywhere in the 14 worlds. Everything's there within the holy name. No need to go anywhere else. And when the mind can understand that and be focused, that calm down, you don't have to go anywhere. Everything is there in Krishna, and Krishna is his name. There's no difference whatsoever. I'll just read the quotation again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. In which Prabhupada says, in a letter, yoga system is approved, but nobody can follow the rules and regulations strictly. Neither there is suitable place for executing it, and everyone is always full of anxiety, so how they can concentrate. So best thing is to chant Hare Krishna, which is forced meditation. And one of the practical tips, remember, fear the fade. All practices fade without giving them attention. The word attention means special care. This is the essence of the meaning of the word according to the etymology. Hare Krishna. To be attentive, it has the word ten in it, which is the same root as tendon, where you attach the muscle and the bone. And it also means to stretch towards something, to be attentive. So unless we're stretching towards the holy name, then and giving it special attention, special care, that is, if we're doing that, then we can know that we're being attentive. And a final thought for this section about fearing the fade, and that is, within any practice, we're either improving or getting worse. There's no staying the same. So remember that the increments by which we say, okay, it's good enough, and then I give a little less attention each time, and then finally I just forget about it altogether. This is why we should fear the fade. And the opposite is to try to be a little bit better the next time I chant japa than I was the last time, and to give it as more attention and stretch towards it, more special care. You can think of ways to give your japa special care. And there's a long list that you can do for that. Shall we try again? Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. If anybody feels stiff sitting, you can stand up. Don't feel constrained that you have to sit like a yogi. Better to stretch out and then sit back down again when you feel like it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna. Question. Can you remember the first time that you heard the holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, when it sounded unusual or that it affected you? A moment that you heard it when you said there's something otherworldly about this. It's not an ordinary sound. And maybe it transformed you in that second when you first heard it. Can you remember an experience like that, the first time that it affected you? Mukharavinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I distinctly remember that when I was doing my college days, they invited me for student program in the university, and there was a nice center, and I remember still the Prabhupada's Japa box. It was ringing Hare Krishna, the famous tune, and still that is inched in my heart. Like I felt that voice, something different, the vibration of holy name coming from Prabhupada. And it's 15 years back, but still I remember that.
Jai. Who else can remember? Yes, Shankari Kaur.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This was at Parthsarthi temple in Delhi. And after finishing my work, I just went to the temple and Kirtan was going on. And it just felt that I was not in this world. Anxieties, good thoughts, bad thoughts, everything ceased to be at that moment. It was just the holy name that pervaded everything. And I still, whenever I remember that, it just gives me goosebumps. So I still feel
Jai.
that.
Two more. First time you heard the holy name, when it affected you. Okay, go ahead. You're right here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, mein dandavat pranams. For me, it was just 2 years ago, and when I, what's the fan of?
No, it's okay.
2 years ago, when I first started the holy name, the first thing which came, I was literally crying, and I still cry till now. I think that's the change it brings in me.
So you chanted once and then it affected you?
Yes, when I take the holy name, I think it brings tears into me.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So this goes back when I was around 9 or 10 years old, and we had ISKCON Baroda open. I'm from Baroda city in Gujarat, and they had a new center open up. And there was one brahmachari who came and knocked on our door, and he said he was a foreigner, and it was very surprising to see a foreigner, coming and giving the book. And he said, "Can you please just buy one chopri?" Chopri means a book. And then he recited the Maha Mantra, and I was standing next to my mom, and I was like, this mantra seems so easy, because I've seen my father chanting different mantras on the Japa beat, and it was like I couldn't remember that. And this was like me and my brother both were able to, reciprocate the same straight back on the point at that time.
Haribol. So one of the effects of fade is that we take things for granted. You can take a practice for granted. Prabhupada said, sometimes sadhus who live by the Ganga, they go elsewhere to take bath because they say, oh, it's just the Ganges. And similarly, he mentioned once that everything is complete in the chanting of the holy name, but he said, sometimes I see my disciples, they're collecting many austere books and trying to read so many different things, but the simple process is chanting Hare Krishna. And so the remembrance of our first experience with hearing the holy name and how it moved us is something to go back to in our minds, to remember that we actually experienced something tangible. Narada Muni, in his exploration of the Lord's creation, sat down in a lonely forest and then had this experience that was transcendental, beyond his body and senses, and he could never forget that. And so remembering that we had had contact with the holy name at a particular time, the holy name reached out to us, pulled us up. If we remember that and keep coming back, as Narada did, that he knew that it was there. He just had to continue serving Krishna and go on with his practice. But he had a tangible memory of the effect of the holy name. That can help us in our practice also to remember that time when we're deeply affected by the holy name. So let's try one more time. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. We just have a few more minutes, but I wanted to say first how much I appreciated chanting with all of you, such stalwarts in chanting Hare Krishna and dedicating your lives to the holy name and giving it to others. Let's just see if there's any reflections from the period, anything you heard so far or experienced in the Japa group that you can reflect back in. That is from anything I read from Prabhupada or the points about fear the fade or any other points can amplify something.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. One of the things I think you said is the japa when we chant is quite repetitive, so mind is very active and always want to sort of go away. So try to bring the mind back just each time by doing something just to bring it back, and just focus on just a japa. I think that sort of stick to me, and just want to keep chanting and just bring the mind back each time he sort of wanders away.
Nice. That sort of fits the title of forced meditation. Also, something Shivaram Maharaj once said was, you're chanting great japa when you don't want to stop. If the mind's thinking, when are we going to stop? You're not quite there yet, haven't found that one-mindedness with the holy name. But if you're in that mood, you're not really counting how many rounds you have left or what time it is. And if someone says, let's go, it's like, not yet. I don't want to stop. That means that you've come out of the mind and you're really absorbed in the holy name and you're feeling it. So that's one of the symptoms. Let's have a few more reflections, because sharing means caring, according to the Salvation Army. Yes. Who's next? You find them out, Gopal Champu.
Thank you, Vaisesika Prabhu. I was thinking about when you said there's nothing to be had in the three worlds except the holy name, so it made me kind of also try to remember that everything else can wait. That this time is for Krishna.
It's really important, especially the means of distraction is the mind says, well, wait a minute, I have to answer that email now, otherwise it'll be finished. You can remember that Napoleon Bonaparte had a policy of not opening his mail for 3 months because he found out 95% of everything was solved by the time he opened it. But to speak of your chanting the holy name, it takes precedent, as you're saying, and this is a symptom of great japa, that you set that precedent that there's nothing more important than this. Everything else can wait. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
What really helped me in this session was, one, the awareness that you said, focus on the japa and come back, bring your mind back. But the other one was listening to yourself chanting. And that really helps, because you can understand whether you're chanting correctly and the pronunciation, so whether you're going too fast. So that really did help. And chanting silently, that doesn't happen when you do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the directive I picked up from one of my godbrothers that's always really helped me, which I mentioned at the beginning, was when you're chanting, be aware that you're chanting. Because the mind can be absent even as you're doing something, just like idling a car and the car is going but you don't even notice it. When you're reading and you don't know what you're reading, you couldn't say what was just in the paragraph. So the first line of defense is to be present, be aware that you're chanting while you're chanting. And if you can keep remembering that, am I aware that I'm chanting right now? That will help naturally bring you back into the sound of the holy name. A couple more.
Hey Krishna Maharaj, firstly thank you so much for taking time out for us from your regular schedule and conducting these sessions. So the thing that greatly helped me in this session was the fearing the fade. I think just that, the fact that I was, the fade is going to come, just that thought itself, that made that basically brought my attention. So I was regularly checking, the fade is not going to happen, the fade is not happening, right? So that thought was ringing in the mind, and that helped me focus better.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Goes along with, if you're not improving, then you're getting worse. There's no staying the same. And also with the idea that if you just stay steady at a practice over a long period of time, then the natural result will come out. There's a principle called the law of large numbers, that the more times you do an experiment, the closer you get to the actual average mean that's meant to come out of the experiment, or that naturally does. And the longer that you can continue to chant Hare Krishna in any one session over the period of time in your life, the more likely it is that you'll get the result. Hare Krishna.
I wanted to thank you, Maharaj, for coming and chanting with us. I think your very presence, lifted the japa, like, the mind was at rest somehow by your presence. So that made it all the more beautiful. So thank you for
Prabhu.
that. Thank you for your presence.
I think I was only reflecting you and the group, like a mirror. Okay, 2 more and then we got to go.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Vaisesika Prabhu. Please accept my respectful
Krishna.
obeisances. When you asked about hearing the holy
Keep
name,
that closer.
when you asked about hearing the holy name for the first time, for me it was not the first time that it struck. There was a strike. But as time went, even though chanting for many years, it's until we go on book distribution and ask someone to repeat after you, and you always talk about the efficacy of the holy name. That's when it really hits me, when someone repeats it and you just feel that holy name, and that this holy name is coming from the spiritual world. So I try to take that into my japa.
Such a good point. That's why it's important to spread the holy name, because by that, hearing through the lips of somebody who's speaking it for the first time, we vicariously appreciate the power of the holy name. Also, in ancient Vedic times, as we all know from reading Prabhupada's books, that the Brahmanas used to test their mantras. They would bring animals back to life by chanting various mantras. So when we take the holy name out, besides trying it on ourselves, and we may know or not know how much effect it's having, but when we bring it to new people and we give it and we watch them come alive, then this is the way we test our mantras. And we see that, oh, look how powerful it is. I should take it more seriously. And in that regard, once when we were going door to door in North Carolina, and we went to a door with somebody who was physically impaired. He had a caretaker. And it was a great struggle for him to take the book, especially because the caretaker was trying to resist it. But he was so intent on keeping the book and giving a donation that it was a great battle for him, between him and his caretaker. And then when we finally asked him to chant Hare Krishna, she tried to close the door, did the caretaker. But he very strenuously, even with his physical defect, was able to say the whole Mahamantra with us. And afterwards, when the door closed, I turned around and the devotees I was with had tears coming from their eyes. And I said, what is it? And they said, we wish we had that much desire and determination to chant the holy name. So spreading the holy name and chanting the holy name go together like peas and carrots. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Just a few announcements. I'd like to welcome you, Maharaj, for the next 5 days. Thank you so much for taking your time. So let's welcome His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu with 3 loud Haribol. Haribol! Haribol! I'd like to also welcome all the devotees who are coming directly from the readings of Chaitanya Charitamrita from the Govardhan Leela. So thank you so much for coming. Hare Krishna. So just a quick schedule for today. The Singar Darshan is at 7:15, Guru Puja, and then His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu is giving a Bhagavatam class at Krishna Balaram Temple today at 8 o'clock. The breakfast will be served here in the same hall where we were. We've been having prasadam at 8:45 onwards. And the buses to Nandagaon and Vrindakund will be boarding at 9:30. We will be leaving sharp at 9:45. Just a reminder, if you do not have the card, the coach coordinators would not let you in. So we have the cards for all of you who have just joined us today. So at the breakfast, you can collect your cards as well as the retreat book we have for all of you. Please carry the retreat books because we'll hopefully do some bhajans as well. And then I know some of you asked a question whether there will be any climbing today. Only few stairs to Nandagaon temple. That's the only, we're only visiting 2 places. So we'll go straight to the Nandagaon, visit the temple, have darshan, and then we will again board the coach to go to Vrindakund, where we will have a good stopover for a couple of hours for hearing and chanting. And then we will have prasadam at Vrindakund. The Prabhuji there very nicely has arranged prasadam for all of us. And then we'll be back around 4 to 4:30. And then there is an evening program. I'll confirm the time, but it's around 5:30 or 6 o'clock, where we'll do again a short session of an hour, and then Damodar Ashtakam in the evening, like how we have been doing today. And finally, I know all of you have picked up the books, but anybody who hasn't picked up the books and the lollipop prasadam, they will be available at the coach before you board the bus. And those of you who need the language cards for the Hindi language, they will also be available at the bus when you're boarding the bus. So please take them before you go. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Panchatattva, if you so desire, please empower us to chant the holy name with love and to distribute it to everybody that we meet. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpadabhishya kripasindhave patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
You're the doctor. I saw you in one of the sessions. Did I?